Many thank yous for joining me wherever you are in the world. My name is Tim. I have the pleasure of leading the CluedIn team, a platform focused on providing trust in data to allow IT and business to come together when it comes to managing the overall supply chain of data. And we're here to celebrate. We're here to also give some market updates. One of those is obviously where the CluedIn platform is going over the foreseeable future, our vision of the platform, and how we're going to bring that to market. Speaking of which, obviously the MDM market has just had the Magic Quadrant from Gartner released, and we as the group at CluedIn are jointly over the moon about our positioning as a visionary, a clear visionary in the MDM space. Actually bringing us now collectively into two Magic Quadrants across data quality and master data management. We see these capabilities as harmonious in nature, that they very much play a key role in the overall data management lifecycle, and we believe there's a lot of capability crossover between the two, which is why we have provided a platform that brings those capabilities of data quality and master data management together. In fact, I would say we're bullish on the idea that you can't really do one without the other. They really go hand in hand. So I'm going to take you through, on behalf of the CluedIn team, a little bit of a market update from us, what it means for the industry, what it means for our customers, our partners, and just an overall product update as well. So let's first dive in by talking a little bit about CluedIn itself, and I guess really at the end of the day, what we are providing to the market and to our customers. I guess it starts with this reality that we hear often when we're talking to not only our customers, but prospects and companies in the space, that there is this inherent lack of trust in data. In fact, across majority of the analysts, they all seem to roughly agree on the same amount of percentage of companies that seem to have an immense lack of trust in being able to pick up data at their business and then activate it. So obviously that could be through things like automation, through reporting, obviously with the new AI use cases that the majority of companies are either in the middle of, have finished, or are pursuing. All of this is really fueled by making sure that we have trusted data in place. And this is a very deep term, trusted data. There's many different elements or layers to this, and as you peel it back, of course, that's where we often get into these situations where the complexity starts to arise. And at CluedIn, we've always believed, at least for the last 3+ years, with the kind of general access to large language models, that the real value that AI can bring is to play that kind of scale role in data management. And if you've been in the market in the industry for some time, we've gone through many different waves where we need to get data ready for business intelligence, we need to get data ready for reporting, we need to get data ready for RPA and automation of supply chain, and there was the kind of common hurdle was always, well, you're throwing data that's not ready at a use case, no wonder we had complexities and failures. And of course the AI push has exacerbated this once again. From us, instead of making this another reason why AI might not work on your data, we have taken it on in the industry that we want to play that role of how do you actually utilize AI to scale that challenge of getting your data ready for AI. This almost flywheel, recursive loop of relationships that we need to use data for AI, we need to use AI to fix our data, we need to fix our data to get ready for AI, and that kind of loop. Now, if we take a look at the Magic Quadrants, as I said before, CluedIn, we are super happy to be across two of the kind of major Magic Quadrants around data management when it comes to trust, and that being data quality, and of course the master data management piece. On the left hand side, you can see CluedIn positioned there as one of the visionaries. One of the things I want to highlight here as well is that one of the kind of sentiments that have been echoed back to us multiple times from many of the analysts, including Gartner, is CluedIn's innovation in the space of AI. And of course, at CluedIn, we think that AI is and will continue to play a pretty pivotal role in not only the form factor of how you play a role in managing data, but also offering us new tools, new capabilities that just were impractical before. I'm going to take you through how CluedIn is kind of harnessing some of these capabilities to make sure you can do it on your own data at scale, with all the harnesses, the guardrails, and the scaffolding in place to make sure that you can move at the speed of AI, with all the kind of automated governance in place to know that you are doing it in the right way, and doing it in a way that is manageable, scalable, and that just won't cause more kind of chaos the more the data is proliferated throughout the business, but the more that AI is moving towards the edge as well. So you can see from Gartner, we've got a couple of comments about the space. First of all, congratulations to all the to the writers and authors of the Magic Quadrant. There is an enormous amount of effort that goes into the process to collaborate across all different types of vendors, and also to kind of focus on what are those critical capabilities that companies are looking for in a modern master data management platform. And so kudos to the teams there. Also, congratulations to all the other vendors on the quadrant. It's amazing to share a space with good people like yourselves. And also really interesting to see more players in the quadrant. Obviously, this is the first time CluedIn has been part. There was a hiatus there from 2021 through to 2026. So for about 5 years, there was not a Magic Quadrant. CluedIn was actually an honorable mention in the 2021 Magic Quadrant for MDM, but then there was this gap. And so really excited to see the platform of the Quadrant for MDM come back, but also really interested to see a kind of evolving space with many some new players on the Quadrant, and then obviously some of the players that have been there before. So congrats to all of them. Let's start by kind of I guess highlighting from the CluedIn side what this says about the market and where we believe the market will go when it comes to MDM. Let's start with obviously the idea that the MDM quadrant is back is a really positive thing for the market, and I think the AI onset has somehow made this category even more important than before. A lot of the discussions that I'm having with not only our customers but with companies being recently onboarded as CluedIn customers is this kind of need to get their shop in order. Something that they have attempted to do in the past, but now there's just more scale and there's more integration and there's more obviously pressure from the business to be able to execute on some of these use cases as well. I think if I was to talk about some of the really positive things to come from the quadrant, I would say that it's, I guess, solidified what vendors like CluedIn should have as critical capabilities. So, AI has obviously been one of the new entrants of that. A good workflow and federation was another piece that we were really happy to see. Very interesting to see that scale in the cloud was one of the factors that was added back in. We also see this as CluedIn, where a lot more vendors, including CluedIn, now have SaaS capabilities. From the CluedIn side, we have a public SaaS, which allows anyone in the world to actually start MDM use cases, data quality use cases, and the first 15,000 records are completely free. This is a fully functional platform in that it has all the capabilities of the paid version, but we've always seen at CluedIn that MDM has this high entry barrier where there's not a lot of technology that allows you to actually dip your feet, and this is one of the things that we've been pretty strong and bullish on providing to the market. So for anyone interested in starting their MDM journey, you can head over to CluedIn.com, click that little Start Now button right up the top, and you can start your MDM journey today with 15,000 records for free. Now, for a lot of companies, that is actually more than enough to solve a single business domain, like employees or products or materials, or even customers, to be an example. And then there's a kind of easy option to be able to pay as you go and expand as you need more records to manage in your MDM platform. So I would say for the market, I would say on the constructive, or maybe the feedback for the quadrant, was that I think at CluedIn we've been pretty bullish on the value that AI is bringing to the space. We were first to market with integrations to large language models, and this was, I'm guessing, time flies, but it's probably more like 3 years ago, our first integration into the very early Da Vinci models. So I think that was GPT-3, so pre ChatGPT, where we used large language models to run rules against data at scale. So very early adopters of the technology. In addition to this, we were the first to market with the Copilot experience, and the real value there was bridging the gap, allowing very non-technical people, subject matter experts in the business, to do what would inherently be quite technically inclined. Things like enforcing complex validation. And at CluedIn, we've always had this strong belief that MDM and data quality, there is almost this canvas, or that is the conduit to allow a non-technical audience to play a role on the supply chain of data. That this is not strictly something that we can solve completely in IT and engineering teams. And so AI has been this kind of bridge that has allowed that audience to play an even stronger role today. And the Copilot helped in just accelerating and also just uplifting the skill set of what a subject matter expert, a data steward, most importantly, a non-technical, someone from the business, to be able to instill their IP of the business into the data management cycle. And then finally, our AI agents. CluedIn released this in actually 2024. So in October 2024, we brought our AI agents to market. And as I take you through the product roadmap, we think very differently about what these AI agents are. And you can imagine that agentic capabilities are coming into many, many different platforms and part of your stack. And I think it's worth spending a little bit of time highlighting how CluedIn thinks about this agentic nature, and how it kind of plays a role as a kind of unique way of thinking about agents, especially when it comes to data management at scale. So we are super chuffed about the positioning. We think the visionary space is great. We think it really sums up what we also are hearing from our customers in regards to CluedIn's got a great grasp of really where MDM should be going, and takes a very, I guess, unique approach to solving traditionally what's been a very complex challenge to solve. So let me take you through a little bit about the future of CluedIn in the product, and what we think will be really the new form factors and way that MDM will make its way into the kind of I guess federate its way into the data stack and the business. And this is very much obviously in the form of scaling this workload out with virtual agents that can do a lot of the actual analysis and planning work with some pretty strict human in the loop guardrails, or harnesses as they're now being called, to make sure that you can move at the speed of AI, and then know that there's that bedrock of foundation provided by CluedIn to provide that scaffolding, the guardrails, the harness, to allow you to have that speed. So let's dive in and take a little bit about how we are thinking about it. Now, I'm sure at this point everyone's kind of got their preferred or maybe a select few of preferred canvases or ways or form factors of being able to utilize large language models. At CluedIn, we're pretty much across three main canvases. One is ChatGPT, the other is Claude, and the other is Copilot from Microsoft. From a back office perspective, there's a lot more agentic elements that we're using, things like Copilot, things like Codex, and so forth. But I guess from more of a clued-in front-end user perspective, and these are the canvases that we've been working in. And we think what really CluedIn's strength is in its ability to surface the capabilities of being able to access your clean data, to be able to ask questions across your data and get that level of trust back, that the attribution of where the answers are coming from very trusted spaces. And for us, putting in that kind of abstraction layer, including through the MCP layer, is allowing us to talk via all different types of mechanisms. Fabric IQ being one of them, and one of the interesting parts here is that really bringing context or semantics to these large language models can add obviously that context of being able to query better, more reliably. But when you do query, it's not just about getting the answer back, but it's about pulling all that metadata with it of, here is the answer, here are the people that played a role behind the scenes to get this answer to you, here are the data quality scores, here's the history of those records, here's what happened to it over time, here's the lineage if you need it. And for me, that's where that trust comes from, is not just trusting the text that comes back, but then what's that layer of attribution and semantics that not only allows me to get to the right data, but once we do, to provide that level of lineage and trust that I can look at that answer and I can say, yes, I have a full faith and confidence in what that is bringing back. For Microsoft Copilot, because we integrate with Microsoft Fabric IQ and provide that context layer, that graph. Now, obviously, CluedIn comes from a graph capability background, and from an ontology perspective, we already really have that really nicely semantic layer of how all the data actually fits together. And instead of this being a technical kind of ontology, it's much more catered towards the business, where anyone can really understand how all the data actually stitches together and how it relates to each other. So really, CluedIn's role is to be able to not only surface the highest level of trust and quality of the data, but to provide all those mechanisms that build trust. And let's take a look at another example. So for example, here are some recent discussions that I've had with the CluedIn environment. The MCP layer coming from the Claude interface is the way I'm actually working with my data. On the left-hand side, we've got, for example, a nice visual breakdown of kind of describing a full lineage and timeline of how a particular record came to be. And what we've learned from working with our customers is that for a lot of their historical data, their data tells a story. Each record has a story that might need to be visualized in all different types of creative ways. On the right hand side, we can see the MCP of CluedIn bringing back an actual nice visualization of how particular records were stitched together and what happened in the lineage process of forming that golden record. One of my other great examples that really enjoyed was on the left hand side is actually an example of using your large language model to connect directly to individual sources. So in this case, fetching it from Salesforce, Dynamics, and HubSpot. And I think this picture paints really the value that MDM and data quality bring. On the left hand side, asking the question about a particular person or a particular company or a deal, And we can kind of see that although the large language model has definitely identified the right records in each system, what it hasn't provided me with is this level of, well, who do I email? And, how do I know which record is the actual correct one? And are these details up to date? What's the quality? What's the trust levels? On the right-hand side is an example of asking that exact same question, but doing it through the CluedIn layer. And not only do I have this much more nice visual lineage visualization of the actual data, but we can get a lot of the smarts and metadata that have come through the CluedIn processing, such as, things to watch out for, warnings in the data, lineage, what are the final golden record values, the data quality scores are coming in. We can kind of see who did what, who merged these records together. And for me, the example on the right is something that I'm looking for when I'm using large language models against my data. I don't want ambiguity in underlying in the large language model trying to figure things out itself. I want that attribution layer of these are the people, the humans in the loop that this has gone through to get this answered to you. So this is obviously from a querying perspective and fetching perspective. This becomes much more interesting to me, in my opinion, when you start to use these canvases to actually do actions. And whether that is, merging records or fixing data quality issues at scale, or classifying records for maybe sensitivity, or maybe high risk, low risk, medium risk, that where our AI agents come into play. And that's all about actioning things. So not just the actual reading and querying of data. So at CluedIn, this is where we will be focusing on. We're focusing on very much an agentic first approach to MDM and data quality. And we call this the kind of first responders approach, which is there is a lot of things happening in data on a daily basis. There's a lot of turnover in data, a lot of new data sources, there's new processes, there's new use cases that are evolving, and there really is no way of being able to easily keep on top of all this work. And because of this, our user experience, our user interface is moving much more towards an agentic first responder approach to this. So not only making it even simpler to be able to onboard data from all different types of places, but having an AI first approach to help you through the mapping process, to help you through the onboarding process of data, to help you through the analysis of finding what types of data quality issues exist, and then surfacing that to humans in the loop to be able to kind of scale that challenge of approval, rejection, or maybe let's take this decision at a later point in time. And so here is a kind of a view of the new dashboards of CluedIn, the new home screen, where we can kind of see it's lit up by the agents that are actually going out and finding the data quality issues, finding where the duplicates are, finding what validation we should enforce, finding what new regulations in data are out there, and helping you be proactive about enforcing that in your data management processes as well. In addition to this, every agent will feel like a teammate. They'll have KPIs, they'll have goals, they'll have tasks, they'll have budgets, they'll have documentation given to them. They will be fed documentation themselves, and guides and data dictionaries, and of course this will all be ragged or influenced in the context to be able to make these agents as understanding of the internal business processes and IP. And it's really down to the individual, the SME's capability to be able to instill their knowledge of the business into these agents to really unlock that scale. It is, for those of you who have been working with AI agents on data for some time, you'll realize that they have great general knowledge. What they don't have is an understanding of your business processes. And just small things like understanding what a particular column of data and the values within it, how does that relate to your business? If we had a column called status, and we saw the letter A or I, a general model might understand it's probably active and inactive. And it's on you as the SME within the business to instill it with, no, that's actually something different for us to be able to guide it, to be able to scale, the workload and the context that's needed to be able to use these AI agents at scale. I think for me, the most important factor of where we're going here at CluedIn is that these agents are provided this harness that really allows you to use these AI agents at scale on large amounts of data, and have many of these agents running around the clock. So even while you sleep, being able to know that these AI agents are finding things, and that I can wake up to essentially an inbox of suggestions from the AI agent, and it's about scaling that. We strongly believe in a couple of factors at CluedIn. Obviously, the human loop in the loop factor is key to us, and there's many ways that we guarantee this. Number one would be that these agents are provided a kind of read-only access to the data, and they can only do what we call soft actions. So they can surface essentially a plan. Those plans might be very elaborate. They might involve 60, 100 different policies or rules to create. They might have found thousands of possible duplicate records, but it's really around surfacing those suggestions in a scalable way that it's easy for an SME, a human in the loop, to make these very kind of bulk batch decisions without having to investigate every single suggestion line by line. That's really where you lose the speed. So real value is in the harness that CluedIn has provided to be able to use the AI agents at scale while you sleep, knowing that you are still in 100% governed control of what goes through in the actual practices on the data management supply chain itself. We're also evolving the canvas to be able to do this. So today, this is the AI agent canvas for our customers to be able to write their intent, their instructions of what they would like the agent to do. And there's already many great capabilities of this. The ability to be able to hand the agent multiple big, large data sets. So we have many of our customers where our agents are running over 1 million records, actually in the millions of records. And this is typically one thing that's very hard to do, even with all the kind of leading AI organizations. Giving them large bodies of data, you'll usually find that they can't really work at scale, at least at the granular level, and will fall back to doing things like providing you scripts and providing you code to run. At the end of the day, at CluedIn, we are offering that conduit for a non-technical audience to be able to come in and work with data at scale. So the AI agent also exposes what we call skills, and this is really about being able to turn the kind of heuristic nature of the model into something much more deterministic. Now, at CluedIn, we think the value that we can bring is bringing that kind of scale of an intelligence of the large language models, and then really behind the scenes building a very deterministic set of tooling and pipelines that will allow this AI to actually work at scale reliably in a very deterministic nature. Now, from a market perspective, I've still not met a single company that would be happy to let AI loose on their data and make changes or updates or deletes or things like this. And we don't see this as the case for quite a significant amount of time as well. So we believe that the value that CluedIn brings here is that you can actually run that AI against your data at scale. The AI can hallucinate, it can get things wrong, but you've still got this very deterministic backbone that gets run while we all sleep at night. And we think that's the importance of running AI at scale. And so these are just some of the interfaces to be able to surface what the AI has done, then in a very visual or in a very deterministic and logical manner, that we know when we go to sleep it will do the same thing every single time, that it can't change its mind halfway through the cycle of working with data. The other big belief that we have and where we're going from the market, and I think this was also brought up nicely in the Magic Quadrant as well, was federation. So the idea that if you build it, they will come. That's just not a reality when it comes to data quality and master data management, and actually a lot of different initiatives and projects we have within the business. We really need to meet people where they are. And some of the ways that we've done this is obviously integrating into the new large language model interfaces, the chat interfaces. Obviously that's exposed to agents as well, our MCP layer. And then there's the kind of interfaces we work with on a daily basis for communication. That's Teams, Slack, email, Jira, ServiceNow for tickets, places like this, maybe even WhatsApp and messages, iOS, etc. These are the canvases that capture our eyes. This is where we work on a daily basis. And so these are just some of the kind of notifications and ways that we involve and federate the responsibility of data and decisions out into the SMEs without actually having to ask them to log into an MDM system. They have to upskill in and learn new user experience and user interface. So we think this is absolutely key to the future of the MDM space as well. Many of the data quality capabilities and why we're positioned on the Magic Quadrant for data quality as well. Obviously these play a huge role in being able to make the right decision on your data. And so a lot of the use cases typically involved with master data are things like building that kind of single source of understanding and truth. As part of that is when I pick up that truth, I need to know the kind of all the integrity, accuracy, completeness checks, that I've got good kind of guardrails and scaffolding around that. And this is where very much of the data quality capabilities of CluedIn start to come in. In addition to this, the way we think about how SMEs and data stewards will get more involved in the MDM and data quality process is via your inbox. So we think one of the important parts about getting better buy-in from the business is to involve them in these kind of frictionless ways. And one of those is the ability to kind of wake up and look at your email box and say, right, there's a couple of things you need to make a decision on because you're the owner or you're the expert on customer data or product data. And I think the most important part is to make that seamless, just as seamless as possible, to bring the context to the individual instead of having them backtrack and build the context from a task that they've been given. A simple example would be, if I need to make the decision on if two companies are the same, I need you to provide me with a lot of knowledge. I need to understand, right, so give me both records. What does AI think? Who owns each of these records? Where did they come from? What's the differences? What does Dun & Bradstreet think? What does Moody's think? Let's get all of that in one single place and then federate the simple responsibility of approving or rejecting that change. I need that context to be brought to the actual end users themselves. Now, because we are pretty bullish on the future of MDM and AI playing an immense role in scaling it, we are also redesigning the canvas of our AI agents as well. I showed you an example of what the canvas looks like before. We've got this nice big instructions box, we've got these skills, we've got this ability to be able to mount data to the agents as well. But what we found working with our customers is that a lot of the time we can actually help the end users in the kind of possibilities that are capable within their data itself. Think of this as being more proactive. So as an example, on the right hand side, one of the common feedbacks we got was, can we have the Copilot of CluedIn actually guide me through the building experience of an AI agent? And a lot of this is down to really understanding, okay, what can this AI agent do? It is scoped and it is scoped by the skills that it has capable to it. And so there's no use in asking it to make me coffee or ask it to book a flight if I know that this is an agent that doesn't have that capability. And so the Copilot experience on the right-hand side is really about guiding the end user more about, here's what we can do with your data. Here are all the skills I can do. Let me be proactive, look through the data, do the analysis and build these plans. And then I'm going to help you in building these AI agents that we can then go off and have running within the business proactively. So we're really super pumped about getting this out to our customers in the market and just make it absolutely simpler to have these agentic flows operating on your important data. They're just some of the capabilities that are coming from CluedIn. This concept, ironically, of skills was something that CluedIn brought to the market in October 2024, and it's very much been adopted pretty widely by the market, this concept of skills or functions. And so this is just a short list of some of these skills that these agents can do. And this is just an idea of the templates that CluedIn provides out of the box. So we've gone with an approach that is taking templates of essentially the kind of roles you would usually have in these projects. One thing that's very clear from us in the MDM space is that these projects are super important, and they're often unraveling a lot of historical debt of data. Problems that have existed for 15 years and we've just never had the time, or some of these problems are very complex and time consuming to actually resolve. And so think of these as ways to be able to kind of throw the AI at it to scale the challenge. There's never enough hands on deck in these projects often, and think of these as a way of extending your team virtually to go off and do a lot of the analysis and upfront work of finding where the issues are, making the suggestions of how to solve and fix them, and then bringing that human in the loop factor to be able to make sure there's that governance and responsibility chain in place. So if you would like to join the CluedIn family, you would be joining a group of global businesses across all different types of industries. As I said, you can head over to CluedIn.com. You can sign up for a free version of the CluedIn platform for the first 15,000 records for free. That includes the AI capabilities, so you can kind of dip your feet in the water, kind of get your hands dirty and trying to solve an actual problem you might have there for a particular business domain. And let's finish on this. I think overall, we are super chuffed at CluedIn to be able to position ourselves as visionary in the Magic Quadrant from Gartner. Kudos to the team behind it that wrote the material. I would recommend you all go, if you've got a Gartner license, to go and read the quadrant and kind of see if CluedIn could be a good fit for your MDM use cases. But thank you very much for spending the time with me.